Borg on Jeopardy before was a sports gambler. Now we find out he wanted to work in a baseball front office.
And apparently he's still contemplating whether a team might offer him a job in a front office because it turns out you can't play Jeopardy forever.
You can if you don't lose. When he gonna lose?
It doesn't, well, he came close recently.
Right. But that dude didn't really have no chance. When he gonna lose?
Yeah, I'm just glad that I discovered recently, part Asian. James Holzhauer, some Asian blood in him.
They're not surprised.
First name, Damian Lillard. Because the man had his worst game of the postseason, Bo, putting up 14 points on 17 shots, but the Blazers still won. And even their series with the Nuggets 1-1. So what did you make of Dame last night? Let's start there.
I mean, this is not the best version of Dame that we have seen, right?
No.
Right. We understand this. We get this part. But the reason we're here, how much of this has to do with Dame and how much of this has to do with the fact the Nuggets can't buy a shot in this game. And on top of it, for some reason in this postseason, the Nuggets have been unable to string together two good games. What's so hard about playing two good games in a row, huh?
The problem for me is with the Nuggets, actually, and I like to imagine somewhere Russell Westbrook just being very angry that finally Damian Lillard is reverting to the mean. But the problem with the Nuggets is that Jamal Murray, man, he's been playing like an EKG machine. And the issue with him is that when he is right, the Nuggets are right, and when he is bad, they're not. So he's had 5 good games and 4 bad ones. Denver's lost all 4 of those games, and you know they're the bad games because that first number in the field goal percentage column is a 3. Yeah. If that guy isn't hitting his shots, this team isn't winning.
I've got to be fair, they did game 4 and 5 against San Antonio. That's where they got their 2 games together. But there's something functional about the way the Nuggets are built, which is their best player's best skill is really getting the ball to other people. Right? In a game like this, and Jokic played all right, like it's not like he had some sort of bad game, but when these other dudes aren't hitting shots, and they've got to be pumping the ball into him, and he's got to be the one to make it happen. That's not really what they are built to do. But if they can make shots, they'll win games against Portland, and they seem to have figured something out about what to do defensively in stopping Lillard.
Well, and in stopping Jokic, you mentioned Jokic as the keystone to this team, and I think that is still correct. Enes Kanter, Game 1 looked like he couldn't stop anybody. Game 2, he actually did slow down Jokic, and they did the thing that all these teams are doing in the postseason when it comes to recognizing the keystone opponent. It was this way with Giannis. We're going to throw a lot of guys at him. We're going to take away his preferred hand. For Jokic, it's the right hand. Take away the left shoulder. And we're going to make everybody else around them hit shots. But as we saw with Jamal Murray, and as we saw when your guy like Monty Morris got his nose busted open.
That was Craig.
Craig. It's hard to get those guys to be that good when the keystone is in trouble.
Yeah, but it's also fair to ask if that's a sustainable strategy. Like, if your strategy is we're going to give Gary Harris open shots, the Nuggets will take that over and over again if that's what you're going to do. Name is Jimmy Butler. Game 3 of Raptors Sixers is tonight in Philly, and ahead of the game, Butler talked about the team's chemistry. Went after the media. Let's see what he had to say.
Jimmy, what's the growing process been like with the this basketball team as well, the chemistry and everything? Everybody wants to talk about chemistry. I think we're doing a great job of just being who we are, sticking together through the good and through the bad, not letting the media tear us apart like y'all be trying to do.
Pablo, is Jimmy right? The media's been too tough on the Sixers' chemistry?
As a journalist, it is infuriating when people identify the common enemy as the media, but it's also understandable because it works. This is the way people do it when they're trying to unite a potentially fractured body against the outside world. People think of journalism and the media, Bo, like they think of airlines. There's some capitalistic conglomerate that you remember because of their worst moments. But in reality, I would like to point out that the media actually isn't always what you think it is. A lot of times people are talking about tweets. And I don't know if all the media members are in your mentions, but it doesn't feel that way to me, at least.
Jimmy pointing at you. Anyway,
the fourth estate, yes. Mr. Butler.
Well, okay, but I think they're talking about chemistry with two teams. You got two different discussions. One of them is the personality stuff, which seems to be what he's talking about. But what I thought most people questioned in terms of chemistry for this team was the fact that this lineup that they have put together with these 4-star players only played like 10 games together in the regular season. Like, we had questions about how they were going to play together as a basketball team. I think that is what I heard more of than any of the other stuff. And I actually think the media has been pretty kind to the Sixers in terms of speculation about that other stuff. Because when people aren't around, I got all the questions about how these dudes are going to get along with each other. I don't even come on TV and do that.
Well, Jimmy Butler, if you have questions about your treatment or mistreatment by the media, just think about how Kevin Durant might feel. Because at the very least, there's an argument that maybe we focused a lot on chemistry on that front. But you're right, this is a team that has struggled with fit. This is a team that has struggled with gelling together because they haven't played that many games. And this is a team that has a really weird backcourt problem where Jimmy Butler seems to be the only answer, because when I watch the Sixers, I watch them on offense specifically. Getting baskets is hard. It's labored unless Jimmy Butler is doing the thing where he is creating off the dribble and taking 10 threes, which he never does, but which he did in game 2, and that was really effective.
I mean, look, in terms of the personality stuff, though, that's 3 alpha-type personalities that we got along this wall, right? These are 3 guys built to be number 1. We damn well know that Jimmy is. Embiid called himself the whole damn process by himself, and then there's Ben Simmons, right? These are
Hollywood
right,
Ben.
These are 3 guys meant to be at the front. It is fair for us to ask questions about how all of them are going to get along and how they're going to figure this thing out. It also just so happens, though, their games are pretty complementary. They just haven't had that much time to play together. So it's fair for us to ask. Now, if they come out of this series, though, all their chemistry questions will be gone. The flip side is, if they lose this series, their chemistry questions will be gone, because Jimmy probably not coming back, and neither is Tobias Harris.
And then neither is Brett Brown, right? Because the guy who's supposed to solve... wait, if the Sixers lose this series, you think Brett Brown keeps his job?
If they lose in 6, he can keep it. If they lose in 7, he can keep it. If they lose in 5, he's done in that town.
Ugh. The last name is the Bills Mafia, because the Bills announced this whole new policy where buses carrying at least 20 fans will now have to pay hundreds of dollars for tailgating packages in order to enter a new tailgate village. A team VP said their number 1 concern as an organization is fan safety. So, Bo, what do you think of this grand plan?
Good luck with that one. If these people want to destroy their joints, they're going to find a way to do it. And what I do find interesting about this is they're basically trying to make it too expensive for you to hurt yourself. They are operating on an assumption that you will not be able to afford these prices, or you won't pay these prices just to do damage to yourself. And what I didn't quite get was all this Bills Mafia stuff. They do it in the bus lot. And so what they're doing now is trying to find ways to stop people from getting into the bus lot, which means they might just go somewhere else.
Well, let's watch what we're really talking about here, because it's extreme and it's worth wondering
why are you doing this?
Why you're doing it and how do we
is that a woman?
And the table.
Whoa, is that another woman? Where are the cops?
So this is the question, right? Like, if you wanted to stop this, shouldn't there be ways beyond trying to raise the price of admission? Couldn't you just, ban tables? Arrest people when you see them doing this? And I'm not calling for police presences.
Hey, that guy's on fire.
But when a guy's on fire, it feels like...
And nobody's helped him, by the way.
Maybe the fire department should be involved on top of the
he's also
authorities.
on fire. And apparently when you catch on fire, the last person to realize you're on fire is the person on fire.
I just hope that
Hold on. More fire.
I just hope that was water they were pouring on the guy before, because I don't know if water's the most common beverage at that place, and you're still on fire.
Yeah, you got to stop this. I do understand this. You got to stop this. And I tell you how to stop it. Let me be one of the people that was throwing one of those young ladies through that table. They shut that whole thing down right away. At the very least, they stopped me.
The optics on that would not be palatable.
No.
But part of me is like, this is what happens when the most exciting thing about your franchise, let alone the in-game experience, is people doing things that no law enforcement agency should want to happen.
Here's what I don't understand about one of these clips, and it already went past. You can rewind it on your DVR or whatever, but this is a fair question to ask. Of all the people that are jumping off of things and trying to hurt themselves and catch themselves on fire, it was not the person who was wearing a Nathan Peterman jersey. And the fact that you bought a Peterman jersey in the first place is an indicator of what kind of loser you are in life. But I would think that would be the guy who wanted to set himself on fire. Burn this damn thing with me in it.
Can you imagine how despondent your life must be if you get stone cold stunnered by a guy wearing a Peterman jersey?
Yeah, they actually made him watch. I don't think he was allowed to participate. Wow, yes, and we totally did this just to show you those videos.
Oh yeah, like I love this in the abstract, but once someone gets, I don't know, killed doing this, it feels like all of the bus plans and tailgate villages probably just go by the wayside.
Tell me what's more disgusting than those porta potties. Can you think of one thing in this world that's more disgusting than the inside of those things right there? Those things right there are why I pay VIP for every concert now. I don't care how much tickets cost. Coming up next is Sean Miller, coach of Arizona basketball in trouble. That's with his W.
Bring, bring. High Noon is brought to you by Metro. Get coast-to-coast coverage on a network that rivals the big guys for way less.
Wendy's Biggie Bag.
All right, word is if the Raiders to take him, Marshawn Lynch wants to come back, and I don't see why the Raiders would say no.
I hope Marshawn wants to come back because guess what? Our entire industry is better when that guy is saying
how much
things.
You gotta love Oakland to want to play for the Raiders. Now, Pablo, we got to talk about this Christian Dawkins story. We could call it the FBI story or the Sean Miller story, but Dawkins, a former middleman for an agent ensnared in this madness, testified in federal court Wednesday, and it was fascinating. To paraphrase Dan Wetzel, his statements pointed out what a clown show this trial has been. The NCAA looks silly. The feds look silly. Dawkins, who's already been convicted of federal crimes, has come out looking the best. But Pablo, what have you made of all this?
First off, we should have gone over there if we knew it was going to be like this. This looked like entertainment because this guy, Christian Dawkins, gets to be the guy with a position that is wildly popular both in America broadly and specifically in this jury box, which is, I was just trying to pay the players. And paying the players is sort of what the story is all about, except, Bo, that the FBI agent who was undercover was trying to get him to pay the coaches. And the whole time he was like, you don't pay the coaches, you pay the players because the players already have somebody paying them by the time they meet the college coaches.
Now, the dilemma here is you say the idea of paying players is wildly popular. That is not true. The majority opinion is still against paying players, right? It is in the worlds that we traffic in, the people that we hang out with, we think this whole thing is really cool. And this
naive
idea.
optimism.
Yeah, and part of what we got here, though, and let's not lose track of this, we've got testimony, people on a tape saying how Sean Miller was paying $10,000 a month of his own money for DeAndre Ayton. We also had Book Richardson, an assistant at Arizona, who was paying his own money out to players. We got
Allegedly.
people who will not put their travel on their own credit cards without expensing that bad boy. These dudes are going the extra mile and paying for this themselves. And there's so much money going around that guys are paying out of their own pockets. There's so much money going around that this FBI agent was paying Christian Dawkins to give money to a player that Dawkins literally made up. Didn't exist. Told the FBI agent he $5,000 for this dude. He gives him the money. The dude doesn't exist. He winds up keeping the whole thing. But as much as I say that the opinion against paying is majority against paying players, this trial ain't making no ripple. Nobody seems to care in any sort of way about something that as recently as 10 years ago would have been a major giant scandal. So why are we here on all of this?
It would have been such a big story, but at the very least, if it's not approval, because I think you're probably right about the polling on the issue, there is a numbness. There is a desensitization that has happened, but the fact that you have the federal government not Googling the name of a fake player, and then you have this guy, Christian Dawkins, not knowing that the guy is an FBI agent undercover, it feels like a stoner comedy at this point. It feels like Pineapple Express because what they're doing is they're conning each other and the guy's trying to get money to the players, even though the whole point is to get him on the hook to paying coaches.
But that part, why are we here in the first place? The question that nobody's been able to give us an answer to about this FBI investigation into college basketball, why are we here? Was the plan really to go jam up coaches? Like to jam up big name coaches and the best you could get was a bunch of assistants because you got in and found out that's not how the game works? Y'all didn't even know how this game works and you decided that this was the game that you were going to play.
Yep, and you found out when the guy who you tried to get told the world and they laughed.
Coming up next, the hell is Taylor Swift out here doing? President at the White House, will there be a fast food spread?
I just hope the president, and I think he does, he's a golf fan, he knows the Fuzzy Zeller story, right?
Yeah, wow, there is that. I was just thinking since Tiger got that woman that sandwich from Subway that one time, he can't complain if somebody just gives him a Big Mac.
Today's quote. He has small man's complex, and then he grew, but he never let it go. said CJ Paul to The Ringer about his brother Chris Paul. So, Bo, are you surprised to hear this about CP3?
That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard. And as much as Chris did grow, he did grow just to be tall enough to still be shorter than everybody else that he's around on a regular basis, and to really dislike it when you touch the top of his head.
Yes, but it's important to note that Napoleon was one of history's greatest generals. Like, Chris Paul has a small man's complex. That is absolutely true. CJ Paul, the brother, is one of the guys, I think, who instilled that into him by beating up on him over the years. But Chris Paul, man, we were looking this up the other day. Offensive rating, NBA history, all time. That dude is number one. The small man is number one.
No, he is an incredible player. That gets lost in this. Like, and it's the lack of postseason success, I understand, but I've got him as one of the 5 best point guards of all time. Like,
Same.
He's in that list with people. But the most unforgettable moment of Chris Paul's basketball playing career does not involve him doing anything incredible with a basketball. It involves this. This is 2005, then the RBC Center. He punched my man Julius Hodge in the testicles. He did it on purpose. He admits he did it on purpose. And then looking back on it, he doesn't regret it. He only regrets it because he got suspended for the next game. By the way, he was not thrown out of that game and hit the game-winning basket.
Wait, he wasn't thrown out of that game?
The game-winning basket, like at the buzzer.
So does part of you respect Chris Paul more for owning up to the fact that this was deliberate and a thing that he is proud of?
Hell no. What is there to respect about that? What is respectable about, I'd be out here hitting people in the crotch? Why would I respect that?
Because I think it's...
Do you respect that?
Well, I think...
Do you respect
I
that?
respect it more...
Do you respect that?
On a relative basis.
It sounds like you respect that. You respect that?
Well, compared to a world in which he denies that he tried to do it on purpose. Because at the very least, he is who he is. He wants to hit people in the groin. That's how he rolls.
Apparently, so do you. Today's number is 2,000. That's how much is on the line in this battle on the court between Gary Payton and Jason Terry at the Big Three Combine. They have a combine. Now, they're not competing against each other. They're just betting with the guy who is in the gym about who can hit how many jumpers. We're going to pick this up here. Terry is having to make 4 out of 5 threes in order to get the money. Let's get a look here. There's the bread right there, because NBA players carry cash.
This combine seems very effective in measuring.
There we go.
To measure.
There we go. All right. Jason Terry, he's got to make 4. That's 1.
All you can do is break in.
That's 2.
Jason Terry, by the way. I'm glad he's in this thing too.
Hold on. You about to take too long to say that. 4. Oh, there we go. Jason Terry gets the 5 Gs. Now, here's the fun part.
I get a rebound for it. Hold on, let me ask you something. Do you think we worried about $5,000?
He's talking to this other dude playing a hoop.
Watch this.
What about the 2 non-players? The 2 non-players in here.
You want to bet now?
The legitimate offense that Gary Payton took to the idea that dude has more money than them will make my week.
Gary Payton, history's greatest trash talker, against Jason Terry, a guy who got a tattoo of the Larry O'Brien Trophy before he won the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and somehow that other guy ends up being the wonderful chemical element that makes everything go.
He said he had more money than Gary Payton did, and that was quickly about to turn into a game that I don't know if y'all play this at Harvard. It's a little something called Big Bank, Take a Little Bank. You ever play Big Bank, Take a Little Bank?
I was consistently the little bank.
You want to play Big Bank, Take a Little Bank when we get back to the desk?
No.
You sure?
Well,
You ought to try it.
well, when's our contract up?
I mean, I'm just saying. In closing, you ain't gonna win there neither. There was a movie in 2009 called Obsessed, which was about a woman trying to take what belonged to Beyonce. Apparently, that was Taylor Swift's favorite movie. Look at what happened at the Billboard Music Awards last night.
I missed this.
Yeah, so this is Taylor Swift with the wackest drum line ever. And she tried to swang it a little bit and then hit that pose. Does that look familiar to you?
No.
Does that look like something you have seen before?
It is.
Those drummers are so whack.
Yo.
Whoa, you didn't even get no black people. Are there any black people in this drum line? Okay, there's a couple in the front.
There is some pigmentation that might qualify just barely.
Yeah, this was the most Pat Boone thing I have ever seen in my life. And it was a full-on Pat Boone. When I looked up a Pat Boone video on YouTube just to make sure that she was really Pat Boone in it. Because look, if you don't think she was Pat Boone in it, we all know where this started from. We all know where this was. Beyonce did this same exact performance at Coachella last year, except it was good.
And released a very widely accepted, acclaimed, consumed video of it. My question for Taylor Swift is, you're too rich to not have someone in your circle tell you that this is a terrible idea.
They keep trying. I'm telling you, somebody in her crew is like, you really need to stop worrying about Beyonce. It's like, you stop worrying about Beyonce. Look at that. Look at what we got going on over here. Look at what we got going on over there. Right. Look at this band over here. This band over here. The one brother over there in the corner looked like he tried to cheat off that dude's paper. That's how boring this whole thing looks that's going on. You had to know we was going to do this to you.
Does this all go back to Kanye and Beyonce and Taylor Swift at the VMAs? Is that the origin story of this? This is bad.
My guess is this all goes back to you can sell all the records that you want. You can have all the chart success that you want. You will not be her. The rest of us have come to terms with the fact that we will not be her. She says she the realest dude in the room, and I can't even argue with that.
Correct, she's correct. In closing, since we are already on the topic of marching bands, I'd like to introduce America to the college halftime show that I would like to see. Let's watch. Welcome to Japan, Bomani Jones. This is synchronized walking, and maybe you're not impressed, but look at this. Yo!
That's the marching band you want to see that doesn't have instruments?
Not done yet. Not done yet. Because their bodies are instruments. Look at this, man. That's incredible.
Say that again.
Their bodies are their instruments. Because these legs, the coordination, the synchronicity, the practice that it must have taken to do all of this, man. All I'm saying is, and by the way, I love the institution of the band done right. But somebody out in America, some college, go and try this because this is too impressive to not try and copy if we're going to copy something.
I think marching bands do a little more of this than you realize. They do walk in lines and do stuff like that.
Those lines, though.
Do you think they can play neck? Do you think they can play